Hello YouTube, and welcome to the first segment of Tips to Heal. So glad you could be joining me today. Oh wow, I've got so many great things to share with you, so many great tips, one tip at a time. If you like the content that you hear here, please subscribe, and if you have any questions or comments, you can use the comment section below. I hope that you find this content helpful for you as you move your own self into taking control of your own health. Well, having said that, I got a question. Are you caught in the medical maze? A doctor for this, a doctor for that, a pill for this and a pill for that. I know I was. This is just a sample of the medications that ruled my life just 3 years ago. No more. I've been set free. Free from what, you may ask? Well, I was diagnosed with asthma in 2009. Jeez, okay. And I thought that was a bit late. I was 40 years old. I mean, really? Asthma? Well, it was proven by many hospital visits and hospital stays and numerous emergency room visits, so couldn't argue with the diagnosis. I was also diagnosed with degenerative arthritis in my lower lumbar spine. Now that had a girl where she couldn't even mop her kitchen floor without being laid up for the next 2 or 3 days because of the excruciating pain. I thought that was pretty bad, but the worst was yet to come. Fast forward to 2009, and asthma was now diagnosed as allergic asthma, because believe me, I developed allergies to things that I had been eating my whole life. Rice, for crying out loud. I developed a soy allergy, and I really wasn't trying to eat a lot of soy, but because soy isn't in most of the foods that we eat, I developed a pretty bad allergy, and that made my asthma trigger even more. I mean, I'm allergic to everything. As my husband says, I'm allergic to water. I don't think it's that bad, but anyway, I suffered continually with the arthritis pain, and then came another diagnosis, COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease with emphysema and chronic bronchitis on the side. I was like, my goodness, whose cat did I kick? Well, I left the hospital in 2009 on oxygen, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That thing was my buddy, followed me everywhere. And, you know, oxygen. Well, my immune system was so shot. I could hardly be around my grandchildren for fear that their runny little noses were going to send me to the hospital. It's still 2009. And next came the diagnosis for fibromyalgia and chronic anemia. I had to get 3 blood transfusions, I think inside of 2 years, which was pretty amazing. The arthritis was still progressing. I had a bulging disc in my lower lumbar spine now that affected my left leg and had me walking like Frankenstein, you know, dragging that left leg. And the pain was excruciating. To sit or to lay or to stand was just excruciating pain. And of course, I was on the medications for that. So 2011 came, and I got the worst diagnosis ever, the big C. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and that, I think, was the turning point for me. I refused the conventional treatment, and I began to move myself out of the medical maze at that point. You know, I got that term, medical maze, from a book that I read back in 2014. I met a man named Peter Gibson, and at a farm day at Organic Crystal Farms here in Georgia. And I told him a little bit about my story because my healing had already begun at that time. And he gave me a copy of his book, signed copy. How about that? And I read this book. Excellent, awesome book. It is a must read. Let me read this. How you are moved like a magnet through the medical maze, and the amazing history behind the construction of that maze. And it also says, medicine wants to know all about your history. Did you ever wonder about its history? awesome read. I found out many things that I didn't know about the medical industry, as well as alternative medicine as a viable alternative to our conventional medicine system. But this book is written in such a way that adults will enjoy it, but children will also get a big kick out of it as well as they learn. Now, Peter Gibson, my friend, is an entrepreneur. He's also a speaker. He is a history buff, and he's a wellness industry consultant. He has spent 30 years out of the medical maze, and he's coached others to do as well. I'm going to put information about the book in the description section of the bottom. The name of the book, I'm sorry, is Who Moved My Magnet? I love it. Awesome book, awesome book. Now, Peter is continuing his input in the community by supporting people's desires in personal and business growth. And he has he's doing that via his let me see it, gotta say that right, cross-coaching concept. Say that 3 times fast. It's a powerful group dynamic where it attracts leaders and their peers, and they coach each other across the table. And that's a concept that Peter himself designed. So feel free, like I said, check out the book. I'm going to put the information at the bottom. It's really worth a read. I tell you, I learned a lot, and I'm still learning a lot. Well, back to my story. The cancer diagnosis was a biggie. I began a research frenzy that really lasted, really until now. I'm still researching ways to stay free. The beginning of my healing is actually tip number 1. And tip number 1 is say no to GMOs. GMOs, covered in Roundup, pesticide, is totally being drenched in pesticides at a rate of over 1 billion tons a year. And I don't think that was really designed to be in my food, but it's inside of the genetically modified organism. So I'm not down on genetic modification, but I am a little bit peeved when you start to put chemicals and pesticides inside of my food in order to kill the bugs and to keep down weeds. That's a pretty bad thing, I think. So I started to juice at this time. This was back in 2011. Juicing fresh fruits and vegetables, and I made sure that they were not genetically modified organisms. I juiced organic, and if I couldn't get organic, later there came an awesome organization called the Non-Project GMO organization, and they began a testing procedure to test products that are currently on the market and that are coming on the market to see if they contain genetically modified organisms. And if they didn't, then they got the Non-Project GMO verified stamp. So now when I'm shopping, I look for that stamp, and you'll see that picture in the video as well. Look for that stamp. So if organic is a problem, because I do know for most people it can be kind of expensive, but I shop the sales, I shop the markdowns. Got an awesome little store here in Georgia called Bell's Discount Grocery, and I promise you I can find some pretty good deals on organics there. So it keeps my organic foods going, and that's pretty much the way to go. We cannot digest this genetically modified organisms. I've done a lot of research on that. I've even done some speaking engagements about genetically modified organisms as well. So this is not the forum to debate whether they're safe or not. For me, my witness is that GMOs are not safe for me, because having removed them from my body, I was able to experience the beginning of my healing. Now, I didn't know, and I'm sure most of you didn't know, that genetically modified organisms have been in our food supply since 1996. And so we've been eating this stuff. And of course, during the testing period for genetically modified organisms, when Monsanto did the testing themselves, they only tested for 90 days. And what scientists have found out since then was that it's the long-term effect of eating genetically modified organisms that really causes some of the medical problems that we see today, including an increase of allergies, which I too am a witness of. Now, my food, in my mind, was a chemical cocktail. You've got 83% of the corn that's being produced is genetically modified. You've got 93%, I think it's 88% of corn, 93% of soy, 50% of sugar beets, 94% of cottonseed, and I think It's 90% of canola oil. Ugh. And 75% of the papayas that are produced. And also yellow crookneck squash. I mean, I love yellow crookneck squash. I like making squash casserole, but I buy organic and it's even better. So it's hard to escape genetically modified organisms in the form of high fructose corn syrup, MSG, soy protein isolate, soy lecithin. I mean, read the labels, because in those labels you're going to find a chemical cocktail that we weren't designed to eat. And so when the word came out, I don't know when, you are what you eat. I used to hear my grandmother say that all the time, as well as the terminology, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. It's very difficult for food to be your medicine if it's laced with chemicals. And so because of that, I am saying to you, tip number 1, say no to GMOs. Do your research. Don't take my word for anything. I think the research is available. And if you are of the mind, just start to gradually remove those things from your diet. There is a listing called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. I totally, on the Dirty Dozen, I buy everything organic. But in the Clean 15, those are things that I don't have to worry about because they're not as pesticide laced as some of the Dirty Dozen. And the Dirty Dozen does include the genetically modified organisms. So if you can't do anything but eat from the Clean 15, and be really careful when you start going into the grocery store to stay away from the center aisles. The center aisles are where all of your processed foods, your packaged seasonings, all of those things contain stuff in it that we're not designed to eat. Start to search on the outer aisles. There you'll find your fruits and your vegetables. And if you're going to eat meat that is grass-fed, because the meat now is just as bad as the vegetables, because the animals are eating soy cakes and corn cakes. Even if it says all vegetarian diet, what does that really mean? It means that they're eating vegetarian diet, soy cakes and corn cakes, which has been genetically modified. So we want to stay away from those things because they can truly adversely affect our health. I know this based on personal experience, and I want to continue to share my personal experience because I think it's pretty awesome. I have been set free, and I'd like to see you set free as well. Well, I guess that gets it for the first segment. This has been Angela Marrow at Tips to Heal. I hope you have a wonderful day or night, depending on where you are in the world. And I'll see you next time. Blessings.